turning on the stream button. Let me know if you're getting feedback.
Old Vamp on the stream says punch all the buttons.
Turning on the stream button. Okay,
Okay.
I'm
Here we go.
Old Vamp on the
We
stream
got
says
it.
punch
We
all
got
the
it.
buttons.
Mute.
Welcome everybody to my continuing series on Blender. Here we are. I hope everybody sees what we're working on. Okay. Thank you. There we go. All right, now back. We are undergoing just a little bit of an adjustment here and there, so bear with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to turn down some more system sounds so I don't get feedback in my ears and totally screw myself up when I'm talking. So excuse me 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, one must save in master audio settings or else you're going to get feedback right back in your ears. Hello everybody and welcome to my Blender page here. So just as a review from last week, we see that we have built from scratch a chest of drawers based on this reference photo I took. And right now it appears done, doesn't it? But you know what? We still have a little more work to do, and this is the fine points of building in Blender. Right now, you can see in object mode that we have a very flat finish, and this is actually called flat finish. You see here in the shading, let me pull here. You see here we're in the excuse me, in the tool bar, the left toolbar, and we have shading set to right now it's flat. So I want to show you something. First of all, let me show you something else as I come across. See, you see these grids that are over things. That's very annoying. That's called the grid floor. All right, so we can shut that off, and I'll show you how. If I can remember, it's over here on the right panel here, and we go to grid floor. You see that? This is under display. So display, grid floor, we'll shut that off and get rid of that annoying line. So I can go scan top, bottom without any interference here. That's one thing. I want to remind you that Control Up arrow gives you a nice full screen. That's a great shortcut. As you know, I'm a proponent of using the keyboard as part of your efficient workflow in Blender. So I have turned on my my screencast keys. If you look here, you can see me. You can see everything I do. And uh-oh, I think I just crashed out of Sansar, but I'm going to continue talking here because I don't want to screw myself up. So, yeah, I guess everybody crashed. So, let's see. Let me continue here. Right now, we're on a flat setting and smooth and flat. And what that means is that we go to an edge right here. There we go. If we go to this edge, you see it's a very sharp edge. And if you look at anything, certainly an old dresser in your bedroom or any room, you'll notice that the edges are not sharp at all. This is a knife edge. They're more rounded. So what we're going to do is make this piece of furniture a little bit more realistic by rounding the edges. There are two ways around edges. One is to bevel an edge, and that's using what I would use as a modifier. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try something else, and this is creating edge loops within a face, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So here we have our flat object. Let me light it like this, and I'm going to push smooth, and you'll see what happens. Nothing happens because I didn't select the object first. That's a right click, and I'll select the object and hit smooth. Look at that. That looks awful. That looks just terrible. Look at that. That really looks bad. However, that's only the first step. So what we're going to do is pop into edit mode, hit the tab key, and we're going to go into face select mode, which is down here in face select mode. And we're going to click on faces here. Oh, let me show you another tool. right now, I do want to remind you. Let me hit Control Up arrow to get back into full screen mode. I want to show you that we are still in mirror modifier mode, which means that we can work on half of the object and get the other half for free. You see that? Look at that. So everything we do on the right is going to be mirrored to the left. So here we are. Let me go back into full screen mode so you can see clearly. Now, we are going to inset a loop all around the perimeter. And what this does is it adjusts the normals so that they are not giving us this weird kind of light. Because right now in smooth mode, the normals that are on the edge and on this face here and on this face here are trying to make a smooth transition. And with a 90-degree turn, they are finding this whole thing very difficult to do. So we're going to do this little trick of insetting. After highlighting the area you want to inset, you hit the I key, and look, we'll get an inset, and you can, before you take your hand off the key, you can adjust the inset. So right now we're going to go right about there and look at it in object mode, and it is flat as a pancake. Isn't that beautiful? So let's you'll see it's on the other side. So we're going to just do that around the place. Here's an edge loop. We can select that. And oh, we don't want to select this. We want to make sure when you hit insert that you are only doing one plane at a time, because if you do if you do two contiguous planes, then you're going to get undesirable results. Now, you can do separate planes, and I'll show you that in a second when we do the drawers. You can do separate non-contiguous planes separately and get the same type of effect. So here we're going to push this. Now here we have a situation where we already have a kind of an edge loop. It's not an edge loop because it doesn't go all the way around. But we don't want to make this inset too big, and I'll show you what I mean. Here I'm going to hit I, and you can see that our I button is overlapping. Now this is an undesirable effect. You want to avoid that. So let's just keep it right around there. And we have our loop. Now, since we are in mirror mode, something else has happened that you have to adjust for. So, since the Blender has I've told Blender to create an inset and on mirror mode, according to Blender, this means that this half of the mirror, let me go back for a second, this half of the mirror is what got inset. And even though we have made a whole thing. So the way to fix that is to simply check let me go back. I want you to check that you're in clipping mode. This is very important, that you're in clipping mode. You click this, clipping, and we'll go back, and we'll delete these little insets right there. You see that? These little faces right here. Delete, hit X, and delete faces. And they're gone. Go into edge mode, select that edge, and drag it over, and voila, there you go. Look at that beautiful looking thing. Now, you can eliminate that step by just applying at this time. Applying means that the mirror modifier will create this thing to be whole, and you wouldn't have that. But right now we're not. Just before we do that, we want to make sure we're finished building and edging and all of that stuff, which we haven't done, and I'll show you in a minute. I mean, when I say edging, I mean creating creating our UV preparation, unwrapping, which we haven't done yet. So let me just finish this for a second. Let me just finish these. Oops. You can see that these are not contiguous. So I can insert these, very nice, and we're getting a nice little, oops, we're getting a nice little structure going on here, and I'm going to get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edge loop here. You see, when you have an edge loop, you can hit the corner and select the whole loop. You see that? That's kind of a neat, nice trick. So here we go. We'll select this, select this, select this, and let's see. That looks good. That looks good. We can do the whole back, and another key is right now I'm right clicking, but you can also hit the C key. That gives us a little select circle, and you could simply drag your selections very quickly. See that? Look at that. That's very nice. So we got the back selected and the front frame selected, and we are going to hit I, and that should do it. And notice we have our artifacts to take care of, but we'll do that. Now, there is, we'll do that in a second. There is the bottom here, which is looking awful, but nobody looks at the bottom, and there's no real need to add more topography when we don't have to. But first, let's take care of this. This looks very confusing. I am confused. So here, let's just take care of this, and let's take care of this. Take care of this. This, 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 this. We're going to delete that. Hopefully this is going to be all right because, as I say, I got confused and that top one is a little tricky. I should have done that right away, but I didn't. So let's see what we got here. All right. So looks like we got into trouble. So let's see. Let's try that again. All right. That looks good. Look at that. Look at that. That looks beautiful. I think there's a little mistake up here. I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but it is a mistake. You can see when my edge loop overran, and when you go into object mode, you can see there's something wrong here. So I have to fix that. And I think what I need to do is, let's try dragging that down. There we go. I think that fixed it. That's not great, but you know what? This is a demo, so it's going to be good enough. This looks screwed up. Let's go drag that up here. There we go. That's very good. That's acceptable. So what we're going to do here, yeah. Okay, we can see there's no overlaps. Everything looks a little bit better. Now we'll just, since we're over here, let's just add this face here. And we're going to hit an I. There we go. There we go. And we'll put that face here. Hit an I. Fix this here. Delete that. Face. Go into line select mode or edge select mode. Bring that in. Now, if I wasn't in clipping, then that would not stop and it would go all the way in to the other side and make a mess. So right now, looks like we're making good progress here. And the mesh, even though it's in smooth mode, it looks very nice for those edges. See, a nice round edge. However, I am detecting a little bit more cleanup we have to do. Let's you can select the whole edge and hit Control E, which gives us the edge menu. And what we want is something called edge slides. You see this? So edge slide, and I can just slide the edge to where we want it. And here's another clue. When you hold down the shift key, you get much finer control. You can see. So let me just show you where I went. See that line? I fixed that, and it looks very nice. Very nice line indeed. All right, so let's call it that. Let's say we finish the mesh part of our build, and let's go to making an unwrap. Well, you know, and I'm trying to search for this word. I got a little senior moment here where I forgot the word for my edge wrap line, which simply means a seam. All right, so we're going to make seams. Yes, so we're going to unwrap this thing. We have a three-dimensional object. This is the, if you look over on the left here, this is the UV plane. It's a two-dimensional unwrapping plane, and when we will unwrap, you'll see that we'll get our UV over there. So first, you go to edge mode, okay? And then what you want to do is click on the parts that you want to unwrap. And what we like to do is keep it in the plane. So Unwrapping is an art form in itself. We were not going to get into that because that's a whole nother hour. But I'm going to just quickly create seams here. See, I'm highlighting seams, and you'll see what I'm going to do in a second. I'm highlighting all these seams and making sure my edges are proper. And select that seam. And we're going to select more scenes because we're going to keep this to faces that are see, and the reason why we stayed in mirror mode is that I only have to do half of this. Otherwise, if I had not been in mirror mode, I'd have to go all around this thing and keep selecting seams. Now, I am over seaming this right now. You can be a little bit more conservative. You can have things like here, you wouldn't have to seam the bottom. It'll lie flat, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But for now, we just got to make sure that we're got all the major seams done. I'm going to seam all the drawers. Oops, sorry. There we go. See, since that's an edge loop, the whole thing works. I see a mistake here, but not sure how to fix that just yet. Give me a second. Let me just finish seaming. All right, and let me finish seaming here. All right. Now one more, two more, I think. There we go. Okay, so all of our edges are selected. We're going to hit U. What does U do? Opens up another UV mapping window, and we have all our different options here. Right now, we want to unwrap, a simple unwrap. As I say, we're going to have a special show on unwrapping. That's a whole nother thing. But right now, it's your basic unwrap. So let me, before I do that, I want to show you what's going on. So we're going to look at the full panel. Just to remind you, if you hit T and N, that eliminates your side panels if you don't need them. So T there and N there, we don't need them. Our edges are still selected. I'm going to bring up the unwrap menu again, and here we go, unwrap. Oops, see, even the best get caught up. You have to select all. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, I forgot a whole step. Our edges are selected. We don't hit unwrap yet. What we do is we bring up Control E menu, all right? And that is our edge menu. And what we want to do is mark the seams. See, it's very important. Mark the seams. There we go. They change color. And now you select all by hitting the A key. And then you bring up the UV panel, U. And that's an unwrap. And look at this. Here we go. We're going to make a separate page. That is, ladies and gentlemen, a UV unwrap. Now, what do we see here? We see the panels are, the three-dimensional panels are laid out in a two-dimensional map. And we have a problem. We can see that there's some bad unwrapping here. If this were textured, this would be a problem. And I remember what I did. I forgot to unwrap some things. Also, I want to show you on the UV panel. If you click down here to this panel, you'll get your separate islands. You see this? Separate islands. This is a separate island, and this is called a really bad unwrap, because if I was to try to texture that, you would get nonsense, because that's what that unwrapping is telling me. And everything else looks okay. What we do to unwrap is we want to create efficient unwraps, and this is not optimized yet, but we're not going to do that right today. We're going to do that later, because right now we have an immediate problem of fixing these little units here. So here's a trick for you. You can take your bad units, right, and drag them out the window. Just hit G for move. Drag them out the window. Change our key here down at the bottom, our icon, to this little number. And this selects everything. I'm going to go into into full mode. And then hit deselect here on the UV map side. And then when I go C to select this little part, it'll highlight in our main area the areas that are the problems. So this UV unwrap represents this button right here, which I forgot to unwrap. So I forgot to seam. So you can see that this needs a seam, so it could make sense, and you'll see what I mean right here. Since I did not apply my mirror, this shouldn't be too difficult. So let's quickly, because the clock is running, we've already spent 30 minutes here. The clock is running. Let's unseam what we can. Stay tuned to this station while we quickly seam these. There we go. Let's I'm going to deselect all. There we go. All right, so there's a seam there. The reason I've got this mode, when you hit the Z key, you make everything invisible, which is good so you can see, but sometimes it's hard to see what you're doing. But right now we want to create seams that'll make uh, a flat surface. So you can see on a cylinder like this, I don't know if you can see that. On this cylinder here, you have to make two breaks. You have to make two seams. You first the top of the seam, but you also have to select a parallel line to the cylinder so that you get a nice linear unwrap. And excuse my terminology. I'm at a loss for words sometimes, so I just have to wing it when I'm live. Drax, I don't know how you do this 24 hours a day, but I guess with a little practice you get better. So I'm going to quickly unwrap this here. Let's see where we go. We got two more buttons or so. Quick, 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 quick. Oops, oops, oops. I lost it. See, you have to select a button. You have to select a setting in your preferences that is called your cam will zoom around projections, and that's very convenient. So you can keep track of everything. So all my edges in those buttons are selected. I'm going to hit Control E, which to mark the seam. I'm going to hit All and hit U. Oh, let me show you what's going on. You can see these bad panels here. Watch what happens when I do unwrap now. Look at that. See, that's turned into something that you can texture. And those cylinders are nice and flat. You can see that that's the cylinder all flattened out. That's four of them right there. Let's get out of this mode, get into this mode. Hold on. There we go. So we can see that these flattened cylinders are eminently movable. Now, if we had more time, what I would do is go through here and rotate and move these around and make it as efficient packing as possible so that I can then create a higher textile density. You want the highest density you can get. So I would basically want to pack everything together, eliminate this open space, and then scale it up, and then I would be able to get a much more efficient texturing with, so I can stay, let's say, at a 512 texture. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. Let me get back that down to 0. All right, so now since we got our UV unwrap, we're basically, oops, sorry, wrong one. Oh, we've got our mesh ready to be exported to Substance Painter for texturing. And what I want to show you, let me simply drag this over. Excuse me. Let me do a little housekeeping here. All right, so here we are in object mode. We're going to apply our mirror modifier. In general, overlapping textures are sometimes problematic, and you want to avoid that. And in this case, we're going to apply it. So for the most case, you do apply your mesh before you export it to Substance Painter. And if I mirrored this, if I did not apply this, the UV unwrap would be simply half of this. See, I realize I'm glad we're talking this through, because I realize what I told you was true only to the extent that right now we have half of the object mirrored because we're in mirror modifier mode. So what I have to do first is, in object mode, apply this. Okay, hit the apply button. And then we're going to unwrap it again and pay attention to what's going on in the UV panel. So here we go there. And look at that. It's got the whole mesh now. Uh, you can experiment with this on your own. Try unwrapping a, a mirrored object and then try it applied, and you'll see that you get undesirable effects for the most part, but sometimes you may like that effect. So we're going to now take our object and export it. This is not exporting to Sansar. This is going to be exported to Substance Painter. And what we're going to do is you get your export FBX panel down here. I hope you can see that. And select objects. That's about all we're concerned with right now is selected objects. All these other things are not going to make a difference when you're in Substance Painter. They'll make a difference later on when we export to Sansar. But for right now, we're going to export this Bureau 02 FBX. Everything's all set. The most important thing is selected objects is clicked so you don't select your whole scene. Export. All right, so now, here we go. Off. Oh, and did I forget to tell you to save often? Control S is our friend. To save often. I should have been, after each step, you should control save, because your computer's going to crash one day. I mean, it's going to crash when you least expect it after you've spent all this time fixing your beautiful mesh, and you'll kick yourself for not hitting control save. So, here we go to Substance Painter. I love this program. It's a Logarithmic is the company that makes it. It's just amazing. And I'm going to just take a little break here while we load this program up. I'm going to come back to Sansar, I think, here, and I'll be right there. All right, so here I am live in Sansar, I think. Here I am live in Sansar. No, maybe not. Maybe not, because I can't hear anything. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to settings and turn up our master audio so I can hear you now.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, gotcha.
Okay. Oh, you gotta mute OBS for 1 sec.
Audio so I can hear you now.
Yes.
I gotta love it. So, got it. We're muted. Everything's cool. All right, let me get up on my stand here. I did. Okay. All right, we got it. So, are there any questions up to this point? Okay. Oh, I'll be able to show you that screen. Yes. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so I've got my. Okay, there we go. All right, can you hear me now? To answer Silas, the question of the horse is a matter of philosophy, and we're not. This is not a philosopher's hour, so screw that. Okay, so Let me shut off my Sansar audio to my ears so I don't hear myself think. All right, give me a second. Master audio off. All right, so now I hope you can see in Substance Painter. We're not going to get into how you use Substance Painter. I'm going to do this really quick, so just bear with me, follow along, and this is how this is how you don't do it. This is how you create new, and we're going to import our mesh, and hopefully it's sitting there right there at Trade Show. No, that's the wrong one. We have here our tutorial, and there's our bureau waiting for us. Let's click that in. We're going to go OpenGL. That's what Sansar uses. There's two forms, DirectX and OpenGL for normal maps. And OpenGL is what we use. 1024 is a good texture size to work in this program. We're going to click OK. We're going to do this really quick, folks. If you have questions, I can't answer them, but we're going to bake this. And there's certain things we do here to make everybody happy, including me and you and Santa Claus and everybody. Curvature right now. Okay, and that's all, folks. It looks like a good, and we're going to hit bake a map. And you're going to see over on the right here that all our maps are baked. That's a normal map, and ambient occlusion, curvature, position, thickness, and all the things that tells the program what this little piece of furniture is doing. All right, so there we go, layer one. Now I'm going to show you a smart material, and we're going to click on wood. And let's see what kind of wood we got. Here we go, wood chest. Boom, watch this. Watch this, you're going to love this. Look at that. I tell you, we're done. Look at that. Now, we're not quite done. There's a couple of things I'm going to do. I love this program. Did I tell you I love this program? All right, so hold on here. Let's go to American Cherry Wood. And we're going to do, oh, it is already is on triplanar projection. That's interesting. Okay, well, there you go. That's what we're going to have. Normally, I would make all kinds of adjustments here, but today, this is great. This is great. All right, so now we're going to export these. Let's export textures, and we have to switch something up here. Never quite done yet. Sansar tutorials. And so we're gonna make a folder here. Hold on, new folder. Oh shit! And we gotta rename it because I didn't do it in time. I'm watching the clock here. I want to get this thing done just on time. Rename. So that is materials. Materials. How do you spell materials? I don't know. I'm a lousy speller and a worse typer. So here we go. Select folder. And we're gonna, metal rough is good enough. We're gonna export without making any other adjustments. Okay. And then we're done. We're gonna hit Control Save just to save it. And trade Sansar trade show. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. And we're gonna call this chest. All right, very good. Everything's saving, and goodbye, Painter. Back we are in Blender. Okay, very important now. I am going to just increase here. All right, so now here's where we start to texture. This is a panel. I don't know what they call this. You know, you do this stuff every day, but if you put your cursor over any icon, it'll just, this is your material panel, okay? So right now we're going to create a new material, new, and we'll call this material 1. That's fine for, if you have a lot of different materials, what you want to do is name your materials like door handle, drawer handle, handle this, don't handle this, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. This has now brought us up into a Blender situation. If you look up here, you'll see this cycles render button, and you have these different things called, these are the engines, the Blender engines. And what we want is Blender render. Blender has a very nice engine built into it, so I could create a whole scene here with lighting and textures and color. And we will, and you could photograph it and have beautiful things. We don't care about that. We're going to export just the textures into Sansar, and we won't discuss this anymore. All right, so one thing I have to do here is just to make sure that this is set up properly, and I believe this is right now. Okay, so our material is set. You don't touch anything on this panel. You open up the adjacent panel, which is the texture panel. And we're going to add four slots here. We're going to add texture, which is the base texture, normals, metallic, and rough, which is what Sansar uses to see its colors. All right, and let me just set this up so we can see this clearly. All right, so here's a texture button, and you'll see here it goes color. That's fine. We're going to add another one that says normal. Type in normal. This is going to be our normal slot. Now, you have to change the influence here from color to mirror. Oh, I'm sorry, color to the normal. And that's just what Sansar needs. Don't ask me to explain it today because I refuse to answer any questions. No comment is what I'm saying. So we're going to make a rough, and that's a rough. And here's what you have to do is eliminate the color and set the slot for rough. That's rough, even though it says color. Don't ask me why. That's what the brains over at Linden Labs told me. All right, so we're going to create new, and then we have metal. Metal. There we go. Metal. Metal. Heavy metal is a mirror. Okay, that's it. We're all set. Now we have to just simply import our textures. So what we're going to do is just get rid of that. Going to go over to image, open, go maneuver over to our materials panel. Look at that. There it is. It's called base color. Ooh, I kind of love it. That's our base color. Normally I would call it texture base color just so I don't get confused, but today we're pressed for time. So we're going to go over here, go to normal, hit open image. All right, we go to the same thing, repeat that, open, materials, rough, rough, enough, and metal, open, materials, metal, metal, metal. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Now, as a quick test, what we're going to do is go down to the object button here and click texture paint. And look at that. There it is. So right now, that's your basic texture. We're all set to go. We're now going to export this. So we have to go back into object mode. Click on your object so it's highlighted there like this. And we're going to export it into Sansar. First, we're going to get it ready. We're just going to check here if you just want to make sure everything's set. Looks good, looks good. And I say, when you tested your image, we are going to find out if it's fine. Hold on, excuse me 1 second. Okay, here we go. We're going to export this right now. I'm getting an instant message from people, and I don't know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to ignore it. So let's see. Right now, we're going to export this for Sansar, and there's certain things you have to pay attention to, and it's not that complicated. First of all, we have selected objects, if you see over here, and I don't know technically what this does, but this is what I always do. I hit these two slots here, highlight those. I remember what I forgot to do. Let's cancel this out. Now, this in edit mode, you can see are a bunch of quads. That means they're four-sided objects. And what do all game engines use? They triangulate all the mesh. They use tries. So what we should always get in the habit of doing, which I neglected to do, and I apologize, is add a modifier for triangulation. And this is our triangulate modifier. And what that means is that when I triangulate this, when I export this, it'll automatically be triangulated for Sansar. It'll not rely on Sansar to do the triangulation, and you may not necessarily want it. You want as much control over this as possible. So this modifier takes all these quad faces and turns it into triangles. That's all that does. But you want to make sure that's active. and ready to go. And so let's export this again. If I can get my hand to stop shaking here. Come on. Here we go. All right, so we go over to the panel, select objects, geometry. It's very important. Tangent spaces. That has to do with their triangulation. And over here, this is not important. That's not important either. We don't have any baked animation. Sansar will ignore it. And we're ready to export. So that's very good. We hit export. We're going to just overwrite this file here because we're ready to export. All right, so now we can get out of Blender. We're going to open up Sansar. Oh, look at this. I'm in Sansar. So what the hell do I do here? So I think what I'm going to do is go over to my workspace, and I'll bring you into the stream. Give me a second there. All right. So how do we do this? We're going to go over here, and I'm just in the background. Let me bring you with me so you can catch all of my secret passwords and everything. All right. So we're going to go up here into my edit mode in Sansar. Hopefully you didn't see my passwords and everything and all the other secret stuff that I'm involved in. It's top secret. I'm a highly paid spy for Estonia right now, and well, I just can't talk about that, so I won't. Now we're just connecting and connecting you. I'm sure everybody has to deal with this over and over, lots and lots. Keep going and keep going. I may abort this soon if I don't get any action here and go just create a new scene as Drax recommended. So you know what? Oh, look at that. Just see, you threaten Sansar, and this is what happens. It finally gives you a little bit of encouragement, and it's almost there. Come on. It's just so close. I can smell it. I can smell it. Okay. There we go. Look at that thing. What is that? Anyhow, we don't care what that is. We're going to import this thing. We're going to import this thing. So you go up here to import. And there we go. 3D model. And we're going to select model. And we're going to go over to where it is. And it's over in the tutorial section. Bureau. There we go. Bureau 2. Open. And we didn't create a collision mesh for this. I could show you later on how to do that. We could include a mesh after we export. You basically go add. We'll do that. Well, why don't we just do that? I'll show you. But if you had created a collision mesh, you would put it in here. Now, what we're going to do is check the material settings just to make sure everything's fine. And look at that. It looks like they're all in place. Woohoo, baby. Look at that. See that? That's a good sign when you could read this. So that's very good. There we go. Save settings and import. And look at that. Round and round we go. Round and round we go. Round and oh, look at that. It's a bureau. There we go. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. And it's textured. Look. Oh, sorry. Hold on here. Whoa. Whoa, Nelly, I'm out of control. Oh, where am I? I've lost control. I've lost everything. There we go. Where were we? There we go. Let me slow down everything here. You know how to do that. Minus and plus keys. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. I was on a race before. So, here. I'll show you how to add a collision to this if you didn't create one. It's very easy. Yeah, very easy. What you want to do is go to your mesh in inventory. You can see ground plane and hit add. You right click and then hit add, and it is volume. So we have to make volume visible, which is to go to the visibility panel and go physical shapes. Click that. And you can see that we have not done a thing. Where's our physical volume? I don't know. Let's try that again. Add, container, volume. I just can't figure that one out. I don't know what happened. Oh, maybe. Aha! Okay, so we weren't selected. Okay, now we could add volume. And there it is. There's our physical volume. Look at that. It is now physical. Perfect. And it's low poly. It's great. So we're going to just disconnect this, what do you call it? Just unhighlight that so you can see. So we now can be um, physical with this. So now, and you can stand on it. What we're going to do, we'll make it dynamic as some people have requested. We open up our properties panel here and we go from static to dynamic so we could pick this up, chuck it out. Now, don't forget to save and save often. We're going to save and build. We're saving, we're saving, we're saving, and then we're going to build. Now, if you hit the build button, it will save and build, but I like to do it separately because sometimes if you build and then it saves and builds, you crash and you get all screwed up. And I'll send the URL to somebody. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we have successfully built this chest of drawers in about 2 hours time from start to finish, and that's pretty good. All right, so let me just take care of some uh, copy and pasting here. I'll come back to Chris's studio. I will into Sansar. Yes, Drax. Drax is informing me in my visual cortex there how to do everything. And of course, it's going in one eye and out the other ear. And I don't know what the hell is going on. But I am waiting for this thing to upload. And I can't do anything to do until it does that. So just I'm going to keep editing and I'm going to hit go to this experience. I'm going to go here and capture the URL, copy URL. All right, so now I'm going to copy the URL. Okay, so now I'm going to try and get back to uh, I'm going to try and get back to Chris's place. Here I come, everybody. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. Loading, loading, loading. I don't know what takes so long. I'm going to sing this song. You know, never give a tutorial before before eating lunch. You should eat lunch and then do a tutorial because I am starving now. I gotta tell you. I'm loading, 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 loading. Oh, did I? You know what? I went into the wrong scene. I'm sorry. That's what the problem is. I'm trying to get into Harvest. Okay, that explains it. All right. Well, sorry. I meant to go to Chris's, and I'm loading Harvest, which, even though we've optimized it, uh-oh, there we go. I don't know why things are screwy now. I don't think that was my fault, to tell you the truth. But let's try to get back into the Atlas and go to Chris's place. Visit Chris's place. There we go. Chris. Yes. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Eating up precious time. See, it's totally screwed up now. I'm gonna. Hmm. Yeah, I've totally screwed this up because I'm trying to get into Harvest and hit Chris's place, and now I'm screwed up. All right, so what am I gonna do? Drax, what do you recommend here, Drax? Let's see. I'm going to quit Sansar. That's a great idea. I'm going to reload Sansar. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, listen to your favorite elevator music. Uh, Task Manager. Task managers can be your friend. And Sansar. End task. Drax, I tried to restart and I couldn't. So there we go. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go right back into Sansa. There we go. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back. I'm coming. I know we got 2 minutes to go. We're racing against the clock, and that's fine. Let's go. Enter and enter. There we go. And let's hit the right button. Go to favorites and hit the right button. I knew I hit that right button. Come on. There we go. Anyhow, better late than never. Okay. There we go. Run. Run, run, run. 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 Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Rag,
Hello?
this was absolutely fantastic. I'm sending you this on Slack. Mute OBS mic. Yes,
You
we
can hear
can.
me. Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello, everybody. How was that? How was that? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I have to unmute the desktop audio. Hello? Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Since nobody else wants to ask any questions, or do you guys? While Rag is fixing
I know it looks like
his
I'm worshipping you here, Drax, but I'm not really.
if Rag is fixing while Rag is fixing his
Hello?
questions about this process. And I should say, as soon as this video renders, I'm linking the other one to it, the first one, so you see it in the sequence if you weren't here
I do
last
have a
week.
question for Rag, though,
Yes,
when he's
what's the
back.
question?
Yeah, but answer that. Um, you can. What did you think, Marcus? Did you learn something new?
Oh, I did. You always learn something when you watch somebody else do Blender, because
Yeah.
everybody does it slightly different. The question I had is, why does he go out to Substance Paint and just not put each texture on it in Blender? Why leave Blender and
Can you
Hmm.
pay
hear
for a
me?
third-party program to do that?
Can you hear me?
Just curious, because they have the principal shader where you can add everything he's done, the three metal norms.
Oh,
You can do all that in
shit.
Blender. So I was just curious
Hello?
why he.
Hello? Testing, testing. Hello? 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 Shit, fuck. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now?